2 ounces of hydrochloric acid are currently sitting in your stomach, and it is powerful enough to dissolve a steel razor blade. So why isn't this vat of corrosive liquid melting you from the inside out? The answer involves a reckless, life-changing sacrifice. Most people assume the stomach is just a tough, leathery pouch, but the reality is much more violent. Your gut is a microscopic war zone. The liquid sloshing around inside you is hydrochloric acid, the same corrosive chemical used to strip rust off industrial steel. If a single drop landed on your palm, it would burn straight through. Yet, your stomach lining is just as delicate as the skin inside your cheek. What keeps you from digesting yourself is a fast-placing layer of heroic mucus. These tiny cells stand like a shield wall, constantly sacrificing themselves to the acid. But what happens when this biological armor fails? For decades, the medical world was convinced the answer was just stress. They were dead wrong, and proving it required a truly horrifying sacrifice. Let us zoom in on that shield wall for a second. To appreciate the miracle of your stomach, you have to understand just how hostile this environment really is. Your lining secretes a thick, sticky alkaline mucus that coats every inch of the organ. This isn't just ordinary slime. It is a highly specialized chemical barrier. As the hydrochloric acid tries to eat into your flesh, the bicarbonate trapped inside this mucus neutralizes the acid on contact, turning it into harmless water and salt. It is a continuous microscopic battle of chemistry happening inside you right now. But the acid is relentless, and the mucus cells cannot hold the line forever. They are constantly being melted away by the very juices they are trying to hold back. To survive, your body relies on extreme speed. Your stomach has to manufacture a never-ending supply of this protective slime just to keep pace with the destruction. If production stops for even a moment, the acid breaches the wall and the self-digestion begins. But sometimes, the wall doesn't just fail, it is sabotaged. When the acid finally breaks through that mucus wall, the result is a painful ulcer. For generations, doctors were absolutely certain they knew why this happened. They blamed spicy foods, high-stress jobs, and bad lifestyle choices. They believed stressed-out people simply produced too much acid, overwhelming their own defenses. But in the spring of 1982, 2 Australian doctors named Robin Warren and Barry Marshall noticed something completely bizarre. While looking at stomach biopsies under a microscope, they spotted tiny corkscrew-shaped bacteria thriving right in the middle of the acid bath. This was supposed to be impossible. Nothing should be able to survive in a pool of hydrochloric acid. Yet, there they were, a newly discovered species called Helicobacter pylori, happily drilling into the stomach lining. Marshall and Warren realized these tiny bacteria were the true culprits destroying the mucus shield. But when they tried to share this discovery with the medical world, they were met with total disaster. Nobody believed that a simple bug could survive the belly of the beast. In 1983, Marshall and Warren submitted their findings to a major conference, and the response was brutal. Reviewers didn't just reject their paper, they humiliated them. The medical elite ranked their research in the bottom 10% of all submissions, basically telling them their work was a joke. The establishment refused to believe bacteria could live in stomach acid. Desperate to prove them wrong, Barry Marshall tried infecting lab animals, but the piglets he used grew too large for his equipment. He was stuck. So, on a Tuesday morning in July 1984, the 31-year-old physician walked into his lab at Fremantle Hospital and made a terrifying decision. Without telling his superiors, the ethics board, or even his own wife, Marshall took a beaker filled with billions of the swirling corkscrew bacteria and raised it to his lips. He swallowed the entire cloudy, infectious broth in one massive gulp. He was officially his own human guinea pig, and the clock was ticking on his health. Marshall expected it would take years to develop an ulcer, but the bacteria worked with terrifying speed. By day 3, his wife noticed his breath had turned completely putrid. Between days 5 and 8, he became intensely bloated and started violently vomiting every morning as the bacteria waged war on his stomach lining. On day 10, an endoscopy finally proved the truth. His stomach was heavily inflamed, swarming with white blood cells, and the protective mucus was utterly destroyed. He had successfully given himself severe gastritis, proving that bacteria, not stress, caused the damage. If you love discovering the insane lengths scientists will go to uncover the truth about our universe, hit that subscribe button right now to see more stories like this. Marshall's reckless experiment didn't just vindicate his research, it shattered a century of medical dogma in a matter of days. But the battle to convince the rest of the world was only beginning. It took a full decade of relentless fighting. But in 1994, the National Institutes of Health finally conceded the truth. They officially recognized that ulcers were caused by this bizarre, acid-loving bacteria, fundamentally changing the course of medical history forever. Because of Barry Marshall's insane decision to drink a beaker of disease, millions of people who suffered from chronic, agonizing stomach pain could suddenly be cured with a simple, cheap round of antibiotics. The medical establishment that once laughed him out of the room was forced to eat their words. And in 2005, Barry Marshall and Robin Warren were awarded the highest honor in science, the Nobel Prize in Medicine. It is a stunning reminder of just how fragile our understanding of the human body really is. A widely accepted medical truth was completely overthrown simply because one rogue doctor decided to trust what he saw under a microscope instead of what he read in a textbook. But this incredible saga brings us back to the most astonishing fact of all about your own stomach. Before we reveal the final, mind-bending secret of how you survive your own digestion, let's look at some other genuinely incredible facts about your gut. First, your stomach acid is so incredibly potent it can drop to a pH level of 1, making it essentially the equivalent of battery acid. Second, when you blush from intense embarrassment, the lining of your stomach actually turns bright red and blushes right along with your face. Third, your stomach operates its own independent nervous system, often called the second brain, containing over 100 million individual neurons. And finally, an average human stomach produces about 3 solid liters of corrosive gastric juice every single day. It's a literal chemical factory operating right under your ribs, processing everything you eat while managing its own complex ecosystem of nerves and blood flow. So, how do you ultimately survive this daily acid bath without your own digestive fluids eating you alive? The answer lies in the ultimate superpower of human biology: relentless regeneration. Your protective mucus shield is constantly failing, constantly being burned away by the acid, but your body is simply faster. You are literally growing a brand new stomach lining from scratch every 3 to 4 days. You shed 500,000 cells every single minute, rebuilding your internal armor faster than the acid can melt it down. It is a miraculous, never-ending cycle of destruction and rebirth happening quietly inside you right now. If you want more mind-blowing science stories like this one delivered straight to your feed, be sure to subscribe to the channel so you never miss a discovery. The next time your stomach rumbles, just remember the epic microscopic war being waged right behind your ribs. You're quite literally a walking vat of acid, protected only by the sheer speed of your own regenerating cells. I'm curious, would you ever be brave enough to drink a beaker of bacteria to prove a scientific point? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and as always, keep questioning everything.